cat countdown. T plus minus NaN, not a number. So that's like worse than division by 0. So here we are, the final behind the scenes Terminus broadcast has been dropped as of last night, and had the opportunity to went until the morning, had the opportunity to also churn up all the remaining kernel drops for the final Cascade Festival, and did a quick and dirty KernelDrops.com master index as well. I will be returning to that to refine it a little bit for those browsing the trails, and it will, after an interval of silence, as noted before, continue ingesting, upcycling existing materials, and God knows there's like plenty of it. The final swan song fanfare was an entertaining process across all active platforms on Insta, YouTube, Facebook and Threads, each with their tunes and splashings, leaving a most peculiar residual imprint, a tail and a trail of luminous and ominous for whomever it may concern, for whoever actually is wondering what happened and what's with the silence. But then again, there are no expectations to that. If someone took those trails and began to weave it all together, they would be going places, visiting the full spectrum of the primaries of their consciousness, and who knows where they might converge. But whosoever doth that, I know not. And regardless, as was done in the past, some 14 years ago, I dropped the link to one of those locations. Right, go find it if you're interested. Of the Ragnarok episode of Wisdom Sealed in the days of yore, this one was a much more naturally orchestrated and contained installment reenactment of the same process. I'm avoiding certain terms just to not assert anything, must be rejected by present generations before a new generation is born, right? It's there's so much symbolism in apocalyptic literature that is misinterpreted in temporal terms, in terms of the ongoings of the current civilization, when at its heart it is a cognitive process. That's a tangent. Where are we? Those trails, right? So I did take old materials from the systemic spirituality era, the mandala of the 12 Seers. That was the cleaner edition of the 36-spoked sun and moon harvester that cycled the initial churnings of convergence back in the days. That was more the organizing convergent, or whatever you call it. 3 morphs of it. I initially did 4 more vanilla versions with increasing levels of overlays on the polarities, the fields of awareness and energetic presence, as in the logos and the pneuma, what you might call it, the base and the dynamic aspects of all things. Then those 4 I, back in the day, spun into 3 editions: the Psyhouse Party version, the ArtPop Grimoire version, and the Grave Moshpit version at the end of it. they were all morphed again, rebooted, invoked from under the ancient throne, spliced into the Kernel Drops. Cascades with the flanking short drops, actually shedding quite a bit of light on it. There's even the metacognitive tree piece from Conscious System series from back in the day that does a very lucid spelling out of the entire AAII tree, the awareness abstraction interface that deconstructs composites and rewinds them back into primaries and beyond light and shadows into the liminality and beyond into resolution, right? That's why those mandalas exist, and that's why we have the yin-yangy spin to it with a dot of dark in the light, dot of light in the dark, embedded in all things, because we want to recognize the interdependent, really codependent construct at the roots of our duality, and then having recognized it, having witnessed the mutual magnetism, buffering it and resigning from it. That's the process. But I wanted to make a note on trails. So, of trails up and down, the tree of life, the Yggdrasil, the mandala of the ages, whatever, it doesn't matter, it is what it is, where up and down become double downs, double ups, and two ways mixed, up, down, down, up. These are base tensions that are composing and into further permutations. It all makes a hell of a lot of sense when you contemplate on it in terms of the dyads and the triads of your life, the basic magnetized tunings. That's the parashabda that leads to pashyanti, the feels and the vibe of things, still in the realm of being that begins to flow into madhyama, the constructs unverbalized, and vaikari, the verbalized or symbolic stated aspect of shabda, the creative sound. That's a whole other chapter that we never really got into in depth, along with the pranas. It's all rather very related in terms of the basic dynamisms of what's going on in this big little reality of ours, how it's all constructed, woven together, and how it's all destructed or decomposed, as in where the binds of conditioning are recognized and seen through in formations, only the formations as they are witnessed in a high definition, right, as in with precision. So, of all these, and in the mandalas you will see the tripartite humanograms, the embodied, the affective, the rational aspects that are each on and off in the different stations of awareness. They are very much the baseline. Now you can do also left to right sort of triads, as in you can do horizontal and vertical triads, and they're all there. They're all part of the dynamism of how we polarized entities are configured and in our assertions conditioned. So, but bottom line, they turn into cascades of evolution, development, cognitive development, physical material development, from the baselines of being to seeing orientation, to feeling impressions, to wishing aspirations to willing intentions to working engagements to reaping integrations and to alignment, the consummation and culmination of the life cycle in the unification or samadhi, what you might call it, of the savikalpas. These sorts of things, they're all there, and they are the ancient path. They are also the heart of any modern path that hopes to get anywhere in terms of what is or actuality, right? You cannot bypass the primaries of elementary reality. So, someone's being busy here. Yeah. Dog chasing cats and I'm wearing slippery shoes on moss-covered paving blocks, so that's all very symbolic there in terms of how we are pushed and pulled by our conditions and the innate bonds, and how we need to be able to recognize them and then to snap out of it, not be driven, controlled by the conditions, but act in service of the reconciliation. That's all. Hey, makes you breathe the humid air and the dog taking a run. So, how about we chill out, yeah? So, all the series, very explicitly clear takes, oh how I wish, but also the prior casual watcher, ponderstruck, walkie-talkie, they all gravitated to the same lay of the land. Cycles in the octagon, there were also cycles in the quad, lined up for each. For walkie-talkie and ponderstruck, I dropped the earth part for now. For the rest, not yet. For brief snaps, did take the full spectrum of 13 snaps with the Hydra finale covering the whole lot of the ground in one fell swoop or swell foop, whatever the expression is. So these are all there, and the whole concept of the ecosystem has been, was, is, remains the weaving of framings in which we can take journeys through the primary facets of our lives, recognize them in different contexts, and through recognition, acknowledgement, we can reconcile, harmonize and align. That's the idea. And if even in 3-minute shorts or even in short novellas, etc., as has been done before, if no one actually can be bothered investing that, what does it make? 24 minutes in total, right? And shorter versions exist, into attending to it and reflecting on it as a matter of vibing into the essence of their life cycle, then, you know, there you have it. Driving in your myopic tunnels and zoning into your specific fixations, that's how you define your identity, the presence that you defend in isolation from all the rest of existence, and with that you reap suffering. You refuse to embrace the fluidity of an ever-changing current of reality, external and internal. So if we actually covered these sorts of journeys in life, we would have bearings into the fluidity, and we would find synchronicity in all that life and nature and also consciousness presents for us. If we don't, I mean, these mandalas, they don't exist as swag art and or mythic systems of empowerment. They are compasses of orientation into the fabric of creation, the fabric of existence. And that's why we contemplate on them. That's why we visit each petal of the mandala and engage, and by that we evolve over a well-rounded harmonic spectrum. That's the cultivation of the manifest. The cultivation of the unmanifest is the rewinding, unwinding into the God of being, the mandalas and so on into the God of becoming. The God of becoming is obviously rather very allied in that when fulfillment is there, when reconciliation is there, then the deconstruction or decomposition of conditional composites is a natural subsequent outcome. So that's turning rather long here. I'm just gonna sit down and let myself and my dog contemplate on that for a moment, and you too, if you are feeling contemplative, whoever that's watching, you too contemplate on all that. Alright?